Paul, welcome to IGM. Can you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Certainly, Paul. I'm Paul Daine. I'm the Managing Director of Premium Collections Group. We are a credit management debt recovery agency based in Altrincham and Dublin.
Right. And is it debt recovery? What do you actually recover?
Yeah, in the main, we recover money. So debt recovery is our core business, but there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah.
Debt recovery is one part of an overall group of services called credit management.
Right.
So that could encompass granting credit. We don't do that, but credit management covers granting credit. Credit control, which is, I suppose, the early stages of a collections process. So a lot of our clients would have a credit control department or a credit controller, and then we would assist them at later stages. We can run credit reports. So if you are looking at a business and you want to know whether they're good for an order or a loan or an advance of any type of credit, you can run a report. We also recover assets. So if we have a customer that rents vehicles or rents other types of assets and needs to recover them, either because they haven't been paid or because their customer's gone out of business, we can recover those assets for them.
And what's the most popular sort of recovery at the moment?
The most popular debt recovery issue at the moment is commercial world. So small businesses in particular that are selling to any other business on credit terms. And those credit terms could be 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, whatever those terms are. We help businesses who have invoices that are outstanding for longer than those agreed credit terms.
And what you mentioned your clients. What type of clients have you got? I mean, don't tell me who they are, but
I won't name names.
Yeah. But what type of clients are there? Are they one-man band businesses or SMEs or
more and more
corporate?
these days? We seem to be helping owner-managed businesses, small businesses, your one-man bands, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But we've got quite a broad spectrum of client base. So whilst we like to help the smaller businesses, a lot of our competitors won't help small businesses. They have a minimum threshold. We don't. We'll try and help anybody that we can. And if we can help them, then hopefully in the future they'll come back to us and we can help them again. So as they grow, we'll grow with them and help them out wherever we can.
And how did you get into the business? How did you start?
Gosh, well, 35 years ago, almost 36, I left school and I joined a bank. And I was actually the only person in that bank branch that was willing to ask people to pay money back. So that's how I picked up on, if you like, the credit control side of what we do. So when people came into the branch office and they had to pay money back, it was me that had to put my hand up and say, can we have a chat?
Is this personal or this business?
Well, that was a bank branch, so it was mainly personal debt.
Right.
So that could have been overdrafts, credit cards. This, of course, was back in the day when you had a checkbook and a check guarantee card. So I would occasionally, thankfully not too often, go and knock on a customer's door and ask them for their checkbook and check card back.
Wow.
So as a 16, 17-year-old young lad, that was quite daunting the first time I did it.
Yes.
But I enjoyed it.
Is that because of the success of you getting the money back?
Yeah, you get the asset back, you get the checkbook or the check card back because it was in the day, or you get the money back. Pretty much everything we do is on a contingency basis. So we know we have to work hard to earn money ourselves. And by contingency, obviously, no collection, no fee, no recovery, no fee if it's an asset. So we have to work hard to make sure that we earn a living. And the job is getting quite hard these days. It was never an easy job, but it's certainly getting harder. And I think, dare I say, the B word, the Brexit issue.
No, don't say it.
Too late, I've said it.
Don't say it.
Brexit, the economy as a whole, and the wider economy of the world. We work internationally, so we are affected by foreign exchange rates, fluctuations, and other issues throughout the world, political issues around the world. But yeah, for me, started out in banking, didn't have many jobs over the years. I tended to stick with a job for 5-6 years at a time.
Yeah.
Moved from banking to insurance broking. Was very, very fortunate to work very closely with the owners of one of Manchester's biggest insurance companies. And then I got an opportunity to move to Germany and join the largest debt recovery agency in Europe, which I did back in 2001. So that was an eye-opener. Multicultural, lots of different languages.
Yeah.
I was very grateful for my German O-level that I got from the grammar school. It came in useful.
Yeah.
But I stuck that for 18 months or so, and then came back to the UK, and it was at that point that I set up Premium Collections in 2002.
So going back to the type of clients that you've got, you mentioned that you enjoy it, and that's possibly because of the success rate. Is it an ever-changing world now that it's so easy for people to just close the doors and go bankrupt and rip the roof off so they don't pay rates or whatever? And
if you look at commercial entities, so limited companies, you can incorporate one for about £50. You can start trading straight away if you can open a bank account, and you could run that up until the point where you have to file your first set of accounts or your first VAT return, anything governmental, so be it to Companies House or HMRC, and at that point you can let that company go, not pay any of your creditors, and open a new limited company very easily. Another £50, you're up and running again. And that does happen. It's the phoenix from the flames. So one company goes, they open a new company, and there are people out there that will do that over and over again. It's just so easy to do, and so easy to avoid your creditors. So what we say is you've got to get in there quick. So don't leave it too long, or you might not get anything back.
And I suppose this is where you do the credit report.
Yeah, we can do the upfront credit report.
You can advise, can't you?
Yeah. Of course, if you've got a fairly new company, a credit report is going to be useless. It's not going to tell you anything really other than who the directors are.
Right.
Although it might also tell you that they've been directors of other companies. So if you then look at those other companies, you'd be able to see whether they're successful or insolvent. So yeah, that's the starting point, running the credit report.
And how much is it for a credit report?
It can be a couple of pounds. You can go online, you could buy one without a subscription, just a one-off, probably cost you about £10.
Oh, right.
We offer it as a free service to clients.
Right, okay.
So if a client needs one,
Yeah.
we're happy to run them. Takes a few minutes, email it over to them free of charge.
And next question is, do you think people in business are ashamed of coming to you for help? Do you think they see it as a sign of failure?
Yes to the latter. I'm not so sure about ashamed. I think afraid more than ashamed.
Yeah.
But yes, it can be deemed a sign of failure. But to me, it's only a failure if you never get paid on a particular debt.
Right.
There has to be a point at which any business owner says to themselves, I've tried, or I've not tried because I'm too afraid to try. What am I going to do? In the past, a lot of people would say, oh, I need a solicitor. But solicitors are great. We use them. We work with them.
Yeah.
We have solicitors as clients. We send work to solicitors. But debt recovery, as I mentioned earlier, tends to be on a contingency basis, so it's risk-free in a way. So the small business that's struggling to get the money in, that are a bit afraid of chasing, pass it to a debt collection agency, and there is no risk there. If we don't collect it, or whichever agency they may choose to use doesn't collect the debt for them, it's not cost them any more money. At that point, yes, they could use a solicitor to issue a county court claim. They could use a debt recovery agency to do that for them. On small claims, I often guide my clients to Money Claim Online, which is a government service. It takes you a few minutes to log in and register, and you can issue a county court claim in about 10 minutes.
Really? And that was going to be my next question. Why shouldn't business people go to a solicitor? What's the difference?
I think,
but you say it's about cost, isn't it?
Cost, really. There is always a place in the credit management cycle for solicitors and law firms, but I think at the lower end of the scale. So, for example, a small claim, which is any claim under £10,000. If you use the solicitor, even maybe a small high street solicitor or a regional outfit, they're going to be charging about £200 an hour to manage a claim for you.
Right.
And that's fine. Some people are happy to pay that. My opinion on that is, why pay £200 an hour when you can get the service for free?
Right.
Use a debt collection agency. When I say free, I mean the time and the processing and the work that we have to do.
Yes.
All our clients still have to pay the actual fee that you pay to the court to issue a claim, or any enforcement fees thereafter. But time-wise, and some claims can take weeks, if not months, to pursue to the end game. There's still no charge at all at that point. It's only when it's successfully paid that there's a charge.
And SMEs, how much do you think SMEs are owed debt?
I can give you a very accurate figure there, and if you're sitting comfortably, it's £14.9 billion in the UK as at July of this year, and that's up £1 billion, or just over £1 billion on last year.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
And if we can break that down even further, 15% of SMEs are owed between £10,000 and £20,000 by their customers.
Right.
27% of SMEs are owed over £20,000 at any one time by their customers. So again, for the small businesses that are struggling to pay the rent or pay the staff, that is a lot of money to have outstanding.
They're bankrolling, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're bankrolling. Crikey. And what do you think to the Small Business Commissioner's campaign, Paul Uppal, looking to champion the 30 days payment terms?
I think Paul Uppal is a great guy and he's doing a great job. But I think it's a mammoth task to have taken on.
Well, he's naming and shaming, isn't he?
He is, and that's good. There are a couple of government initiatives to name and shame larger organisations. But what we tend to find with the government is they selectively name and shame, or they will name and shame the large debtors that don't actually work on government contracts, because they don't want to be associated with people or businesses that don't pay. So it is a big job for Paul Uppal. The name and shaming and the kicking people out of the prompt payment code, businesses that is out of the prompt payment code. Yeah, it's good soundbite, but it's not going to change anything.
Because it's voluntarily, isn't it?
It's all a voluntary code.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these huge, particularly in the construction area and in the service provision area, I think these large businesses just do not care whether they get kicked out of a prompt payment code or not. It will make no difference whatsoever to their payment processes and the time that they take to pay businesses. I've mentioned that we have some very large clients, and it's quite ironic as a debt collection agency. that we have to chase our clients. We do work for large PLCs.
Yeah.
We send our invoices, and we have to chase for payment.
Yes.
So we're not immune, even as a debt collection agency. We're not immune from late payment.
And when would you say is the tipping point for a business to get in touch with you to manage their invoices?
Well, let's take, say, a small business that has issued an invoice on 30-day terms.
Yeah.
So before I answer the question, I'll say what that particular business should have done even before the 30 days have expired. Just contact their customer and say, have you got the invoice? Is it all in order? When will it be paid? So in effect, you're asking ahead of the expiry of the 30-day terms or 60 days, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So you're just asking that question. So
do you ask by phone or do you ask by email so you've got a trace?
Always good to have the email, but I think once you get past credit terms, the phone is the best way to communicate. You might have call recording, you might not. If you don't, make a note. Put a note on a CRM system file, or put a note somewhere, even if it's on paper. Just make a note of who you spoke to, when you spoke to them, and what they said. Did they say they're going to pay in 3 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever? And then you've got that note, and you can refer back to that if they renege on that offer of payment.
And do you think that people are too afraid?
I think a lot
because
are.
Repeat customers. That's the other thing. Isn't it? What should they do? What's your advice with a repeat customer that is a bad payer?
With a repeat customer that's a bad payer, you can drop some subtle hints. In conversation, you could say, we're struggling for cash flow at the moment. We might have to look for funding to shore up our cash flow. So in effect, you're kind of sowing the seeds that what you're really saying is, I need my money from you and I need it on terms or as quick as possible.
Yeah.
If a business has a lot of unpaid invoices outstanding and they're struggling for cash flow, it's the worst thing because you've got that asset. Those invoices are your asset.
Yes.
And you might have staff, you might have bills to pay. You might end up borrowing money to pay those bills before those invoices get paid. And really, if you're speaking to a client, to a customer, make them aware of that. Don't be afraid to say, look, if you don't pay me, I can't pay them. If you don't pay me, I can't pay my staff. If you don't pay me, ultimately, I might not be here in 3 months' time to continue trading with you. I think people are afraid of asking. And the people that they're asking should, in effect, be shamed into paying and sticking to terms.
But you sometimes get, when you send an invoice and it's been passed on to accounts and you send it to accounts at, and Joan's off on holiday or something like that, and you're chasing really, aren't you?
If you are working with smaller businesses that perhaps only have one person in accounts or one person that actually does a different job but then does their accounts,
and they tend to leave at 4 o'clock.
They do, yeah. You do get a lot of that.
I've found that.
Yeah, that's accountants for you. But yeah, if you're small business to small business, you're always going to get that. No, John's not in today. Dave's not in today. Whatever, you're going to get that. So try and come at it from every angle. Send an email, send a text, make that phone call, and leave a message. Write to them. The old snail mail if you really have to. It's the slowest and the most expensive form of communication, but at least it's another option. And if you're still not getting paid after that, it's at that point that you've really got to say to yourself, how much time am I taking up in chasing this payment? I've got another stat for you.
Go on.
On average, this is a survey by one of the big accountancy software companies, say that small businesses waste 1 week out of every quarter in chasing payments. That's a lot of time. Now that's a week that you really should be out there selling more, doing more, networking more. So that's a hidden cost. That time that you're having to take as a small business owner to pursue what is, in effect, your money.
Yeah, but it's necessary evil, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Or you can outsource it.
All right. And what do you think to businesses that say on their invoices if they don't pay within the 30 days, then an interest will be charged? I mean, is that legal?
It is, and there's 2 ways that can be done. That can be done contractually. So if you have a set of terms and conditions, and within those terms and conditions there are clauses that allow you to charge either a late payment fee, late payment interest, or even all costs associated with recovery of that debt. So you've got 3 different stages there, and different businesses will use different terms.
Yeah.
But if you've got those terms in place, all of your communications can refer to them and say, look, these are in the terms. Those are the terms you agreed. You haven't abided by those terms. I'm now going to charge you X% interest and X in fees. What we find is that works reasonably well, but what it tends to do is just get you the original debt back. So if you had £1,000 debt and you'd added, let's for argument's sake, say £100 in interest and fees, and you tell your customer, right, it's not £1,000 anymore, it's £1,100, that will probably prompt them into paying you the £1,000 that they originally owed you. And at that point, I would say, well, it's a job well done. It would be nice to get the fees, because you've probably had to pay the cost of your funding and your money and your wages and everything. It would have been nice to get that back. But the reality of the legislation that is around those fees and that late payment interest, people just don't pay it. We use it all the time as a lever, as a tool to get the cash flowing. But really, as long as you get 100% of your original debt back, you'll be happy.
That's the main thing.
Indeed.
So how do people get in touch with you, Paul? What's the best way?
You can look on our website. Would you like to tell you what the web address is? It's www.premiumcollections.co.uk. You can give us a call, 0161 962 4695. We're on Twitter, which is @PremiumCollect. We are Google us, Premium Collections. And yeah, we come up, we rank quite high.
Excellent. Paul Daine, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Cheers.
you.